If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to this channel and support us so we can post new videos every day. Your support means the world. The chamber stretched beyond comprehension, a cathedral of alien architecture where crystalline spires met bioluminescent vaults. 10,000 species occupied the amphitheater, their forms ranging from gaseous clouds to silicon-based colossi, all focused on the small delegation standing at the center. The human representatives stood in a tight circle, 5 figures in simple gray uniforms, while holographic projections above them displayed Earth rotating slowly, scarred, recovering, but whole. The air hummed with translated mockery, 1,000 languages converging into contempt. The Zethian ambassador, a being of liquid mercury held together by magnetic fields, spoke first, their voice rippling through every translator in the hall. Humanity seeks membership in the Galactic Council. Humanity, whose world still bears radiation scars from their own weapons. Humanity, who turned their oceans to acid before learning to filter them back. They come to us with empty hands and bloodied history. The laughter began as scattered chirps and rumbles, but grew into a tidal wave of derision. The Cathraxi delegate, insectoid and angular, clicked their mandibles in a pattern that translated to amusement. A gelatinous representative pulsed with colors that even the translation matrix struggled to convert: shades of dismissal, hues of superiority. The human ambassador, a woman with iron-gray hair and eyes that had seen too many committee meetings, too many closed-door negotiations, simply stood. Her hands remained at her sides. Her expression revealed nothing, not anger, not shame, not defiance. The other humans mirrored her stillness, a tableau of quiet attention that somehow felt more deliberate than defensive. Around them, the Council recounted Earth's sins like prosecutors at a trial. The Third World War, the collapse of '87, the Amazon burning, the Pacific Dead Zone. Each accusation projected above them, in holographic detail, midges of destruction that humanity had inflicted upon itself, testament to a species that had nearly chosen extinction before choosing survival. The Varanian High Judge, a being of living stone whose existence spanned millennia, leaned forward on their throne of compressed neutronium. "You are children playing with fire," they intoned, their words causing the very structure of the chamber to resonate. "You discovered faster than light travel through sheer accident, stumbling through a wormhole you didn't understand. You possess no psionic capabilities. Your technology is derivative, reverse-engineered from derelict ships you found drifting in your asteroid belt. You are scavengers pretending to be pioneers." The human ambassador's jaw tightened, fractionally perhaps the only sign that she heard, that she registered the words, but she did not speak. The silence from the human delegation began to feel like a weight in the room, a pressure that pushed against the tide of accusations. Several council members shifted, uncertain now whether the humans were being respectful or contemptuous in their refusal to defend themselves. A silicate consortium representative, their body, a formation of animated volcanic glass, added their voice to the chorus. "Your species wages war over resources you could synthesize. You cling to primitive nation-states and ethnic divisions. You have no unified world government, no single voice. How can you speak for Earth when Earth cannot speak as one?" More laughter, more agreement. The displays above shifted to show human conflicts, border disputes, trade wars, the messy, chaotic democracy of a species still learning to cooperate. To the ancient races of the Council, races that had achieved unity thousands of years prior, humanity looked like squabbling children. The human ambassador tilted her head slightly, her gaze drifting from the judge to the starfield visible through the chamber's transparent dome. Earth hung there, a blue marble among billions, remarkable only in its ordinariness. Her eyes traced the familiar countenance, the swirl of storm systems, the glint of orbital stations like tiny jewels in the darkness. Then came the final pronouncement. The Zethian ambassador reformed their liquid body into a shape resembling a gavel, then slammed it against the podium, gesture borrowed from human courtrooms, deliberately mocking. "The Galactic Council has reached consensus. Earth and its species are hereby deemed unfit for inclusion in galactic society. You lack the maturity, the unity, and the wisdom required to walk among the civilized stars. Return to your world. Grow up. Perhaps in another 1,000 years, you will be ready." The chamber erupted in after-processes, roars, pulses of light, electromagnetic bursts of agreement. The human ambassador closed her eyes for exactly 3 seconds. When she opened them, something had shifted in her expression. Not anger, Not pain, just ... decision. She turned to her fellow delegates and nodded once. They nodded back. Without a word, without a gesture of farewell or protest, the 5 humans turned and walked toward the exit. Their footsteps echoed in the sudden quiet that followed their movement, a silence of surprise. No defense, no plea, no argument. The Varanian judge's crystalline eyes narrowed. "You do not speak in your defense." The human ambassador paused at the threshold, her back to the council. For a moment, it seemed she might turn, might finally unleash the speech everyone expected, the impassioned defense of humanity's worth, the list of achievements, the promises of change. Instead, she simply said, "No." Then they walked through the doors, which sealed behind them with a hiss of finality. The laughter resumed, more uncertain now, but still present, echoing through the vast chamber like the last gasps of a dying star. The council members congratulated themselves on their wisdom, on protecting the galactic community from an immature, dangerous species. The Zethian ambassador flowed back into their seat, satisfied. The Cathraxi delegate cleaned their antennae in a gesture of completion. The meeting moved on to other matters: trade disputes between the Fernax Collective and the Orion Federation, mining rights in the Crab Nebula, the usual bureaucratic machinery of galactic governance. Earth's rejection was filed away, archived, forgotten. Just another primitive species denied entry. It happened every few decades. Nothing unusual, nothing to concern the mighty council. But on Earth, something different was happening. In Geneva, the United Nations emergency session convened within hours of the delegation's return. In Beijing, Moscow, Washington, Delhi, Lagos, São Paulo, every capital received the same message. The ambassador's report was broadcast to every screen, every device, every human who could receive it. The rejection, the mockery, the dismissal. There were no riots, no protests, no demands for retaliation. Instead, a strange calm settled over humanity, the quiet of a decision made in the collective unconscious of an entire species. Scientists began packing their equipment from the joint research stations scattered across the Galaxy 17 outposts that had served as humanity's tentative reach into the stars. Military vessels that had been on patrol, protecting trade routes and investigating anomalies, received orders to return home. No explanations were given to the alien ships that hailed them, asking why they were leaving their posts. The Nexus Gate, humanity's connection to the faster-than-light highway network that linked the galaxy, saw a steady stream of human ships passing through, not fleeing, not rushing, just ... leaving, methodically, completely. The last human ship to pass through the gate was a small diplomatic courier, its crew of 3, who delivered a single message to the nearest council monitoring station: "We're going home." Then they cut the connection. The gate hummed once, twice, then went dark as humanity shut down their end of the wormhole bridge. Engineers dismantled the quantum entanglement arrays. The pathways that had connected Earth to the galactic network collapsed like bridges with their supports removed. Humanity's presence in the galaxy simply ... ended. Weeks became months, months became years. The council noticed, but only gradually. "Has anyone heard from the humans lately?" became a casual question in committee meetings, met with shrugs and disinterest. The Zethian ambassador mentioned it once in passing, noting that the humans had clearly understood their place and retreated to their homeworld. Good, the galaxy was better off. The research station's humanity had maintained facilities that had been monitoring solar winds, collecting data on dark matter fluctuations, tracking gamma-ray bursts went silent. Other species assumed the council would assign someone to replace them. The council assumed the data wasn't that important. Pirates, which had been suppressed in the outer rim by human patrol vessels, began to grow bold. Trade routes that humans had protected saw increased attacks. The consortium complained. The Federation filed grievances. The council promised to address it. But something was happening in the spaces between stars, in the cold dark where no one had thought to look. Humanity had not gone home to sulk or to hide. They had gone home to build. Earth's united government, forged in the crucible of galactic rejection, pooled resources with ruthless efficiency. The scientific community, free from trying to meet galactic standards and expectations, pursued research in directions the council had deemed unproductive or impossible. Quantum mechanics merged with neuroscience. Artificial intelligence interfaced with human consciousness. The old divisions that had made humanity look chaotic to the Council, those competing nations and ideologies, became a strength, each group approaching problems from different angles, then sharing solutions with a desperation born of wounded pride. 5 years after walking away, humanity achieved faster than light travel without gates, without the Council's network. Wormholes they could generate themselves, collapse at will, reposition instantly. 10 years in, they cracked the aging problem, not immortality, but enough to make each human life count for something beyond a brief flicker. 15 years brought the first true AI-human hybrid consciousness, beings that thought in ways that transcended both origins. 20 years, and humanity found something the Council had never even theorized: space, a layer beneath normal space where distance was a suggestion rather than a law. The Council, meanwhile, was fracturing. The Zethian ambassador's world suffered an economic collapse when their primary trading partner, the Draknori Imperium, suddenly renegotiated terms they had never dared to demand when human mediators had been available. The Cathraxi colonies in the Magellan Stream found themselves under attack from a neighboring species, a conflict that would have been resolved by human peacekeepers in days. Instead, it dragged into a brutal war that cost billions. The Varanian High Judge's own homeworld faced a quantum plague disease that existed partially in other dimensions, something that human researchers had been studying before they left. The Council reached out, sent messages to Earth through every channel they could find: the quantum entanglement relays, radio signals, physical messengers, humanitarian aid requests, offers of trade. Finally, desperately, apologies. Every message met the same response: silence. Earth received them. The Council's monitoring stations confirmed that transmissions reached the system, but no reply came. Nothing. The silence was absolute, more damning than any rebuke. We were wrong. The Zethian ambassador finally transmitted, their liquid form breaking into droplets of desperate hope. We acted in arrogance. We asked forgiveness. We need your help. The message traveled across light years, was received by automated systems orbiting Earth, and was presumably forwarded to ... someone. But no answer came, because there was no one to answer. Earth was empty. 30 years after humanity walked away, a Council exploration vessel, searching for any sign of human civilization, entered the Sol system. They found monuments: the Great Pyramids, the International Space Station preserved in stable orbit, a massive statue on the Moon facing Earth, depicting 5 figures walking away, but no humans. No cities, no emissions, just carefully maintained archives, libraries of human history left behind, like artifacts in a museum. A message carved in 100 languages on a monument in orbit: we were here, we learned, we left. The Council vessel tracked residual exotic particle signatures, the kind that suggested massive fleet movements through subspace, a layer of reality they hadn't known existed. Humanity hadn't just left the galactic community, they had left the galaxy itself. In a region of space beyond the galactic rim, in a cluster of stars no map had named, a new civilization flourished. They called themselves the Terran Ascendancy, though Terran now meant something more than merely earthborn. Thousands of worlds, each transformed to support human life, and new forms of life that humanity had created or uplifted. Cities that existed partially in subspace, allowing single structures to contain the population of planets. Ships that moved through reality like thoughts, crossing distances the Council still measured in years within hours. Art that incorporated mathematics the Council had never developed. Philosophy that embraced the chaos humanity had been mocked for. The ambassador, now ancient but alive, stood on a balcony overlooking the capital world, New Terra, and watched the stars. She was no longer fully human, having merged with an AI consciousness decades ago. But she remembered the Council chamber, the mockery, the rejection. "Do you regret it?" her partner asked, a being of pure energy who had once been her granddaughter. Walking away instead of fighting, she considered the question, her hybrid mind processing it through layers of thought that would have taken years to explain. "No," she finally said, "we needed it. They needed it. Some lessons can only be learned through absence." Below them, children played human, post-human, AI. Uplifted dolphins who swam through gravity-defying waters, and others, all citizens of the Ascendancy. They would grow up never knowing the Council, never seeking approval from those who had deemed them unworthy. Back in Council space, an alien child of the Zethian people read from a datapad, their liquid form taking the shape of concentration. The text was a historical document, studied in schools across the galaxy. When humanity walked away, it told of the Council's arrogance, of their rejection of a species that had simply needed time to grow. It spoke of the consequences, the wars that followed, the collapse of structures humanity had quietly maintained, the loss of knowledge that only humans had pursued. The child absorbed the lesson, letting it ripple through their form. The final passage always stuck with them. They did not argue, they did not beg. They simply acknowledged that we were not ready for them, and they left. The greatest punishment is not anger or vengeance, but indifference. They walked away, and the sound of their footsteps leaving was louder than any weapon. The stars reflected in the child's mercurial surface as they looked up at the night sky, wondering if somewhere out there, humanity was looking back.